Hello and welcome again to another video podcast from Sports Fix Chicago. I'm Dan. I'm here with Tyler, Scott, and Pete. It's been a while since the last time we did one of these, so not much has changed. I don't think anybody's dead or gone. We have the same crew and we're ready to talk Bears. The Bears lost first game. Won the first game against Atlanta in pretty dominating fashion, and then lost the second game in. They basically got their ass kicked against New Orleans. Everything they did right in the first game kind of fell apart, and they did wrong in the second game. Week 3, in a few days here, they're playing the Packers. It's, this is pretty early in the season. It's hard to say it's a make or break game, but what Bears team is going to show up on Sunday?
One of the interesting things to me this season, we've seen this Chicago Bears team come out with a dominating victory week 1 against Atlanta. They come out, the defense is dominant. The offense was probably one of the more stellar offenses we've seen in Chicago in years. And last week against the Saints, clearly a very, very tough team. Go down to New Orleans, playing the Superdome. Drew Brees, a very potent offense. Question marks are starting to come out, though. You look into the offseason, the Bears are very questionable in their moves or lack thereof in free agency. In terms of wide receivers, can you rely on Devin Hester? Can you rely on Dane Sanzenbacher and Johnny Knox to be your go-to guys? It's a big question mark for me. Roy Williams, don't think it was the guy that we were looking to get. And another thing on my end is this offensive line has been struggling severely. I mean, Cutler, getting sacked 6 times is just unacceptable. And that brings up another topic that I'd like to kind of bring about to the other guys is letting go of Olin Cruz for $500,000. Is that really worth it? So I'd like to carry this on to the other guys here. And, at this point, I'm really concerned about the Bears and their lack of free agent moves in the offseason.
All right, so we have a quarterback, Jay Cutler, right, who got a lot of shit for checking out of the NFC Championship game with an injury like he was faking because Twitter got ahead of the medical report. Everyone knows he's tough. If you watch him, he's getting his ass sacked off every fucking game. He's getting housed. So we got Mike Martz, the offensive coordinator, who designed the greatest show on turf, which was designed around arguably some of the best offensive weapons of all time. Marshall Faulk, Ricky Prohl, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, and let's not forget Kurt Warner. None of those people play for the Bears. Our line is a mess. And as Dan pointed out to me earlier, Orlando Pace is blocking probably his right side. I'm going to take a guess. Doesn't make a difference. He can probably block 2 guys by himself. He was the man. So now you got Mike Martz running an offense without a number 1 receiver. We go out, as Kleeman said, we got the worst failure at first receiver as our best receiver. We have no number 1 receiver. It's awful. I'm going to the game this week, and I might not wear this hat. Dan?
Well, last year, it was almost a perfect storm. Not only, there's been a lot of talk about how the team was lucky based on, the Calvin Johnson thing in week 1 last year where he caught the ball, didn't catch the ball. And then the second Lions game where Ndamukong Suh did or didn't, get a 15-yard penalty. Whether that stuff was valid or not. And the Bears faced 3 or 4 third-string quarterbacks over the season. But that team was good. I think it was a coincidence that they happened to get lucky. I think that was a genuinely well put together and talented team. But something nobody talks about is that the coaching staff and the general manager and all those people their contracts were up at the end of that season. They had to produce or they were all going to be gone. And that coincided with an uncapped year where the Bears, for once ever, had the ability and the reason to spend a bunch of money without worrying about long-term contracts or whatever. In the NFL, every contract pretty much is unguaranteed. You get some signing bonuses and things like that, but the Bears were able to go out and get Julius Peppers, go out and get Chester Taylor and spend a bunch of money on him. I mean, he was terrible, but they were able to sign a bunch of guys and put this. And Mike Martz isn't cheap either.
That's fine.
And you're going to end up with a team that's good when you go out and spend money. This offseason, they had some holes in the offensive line and they didn't patch those holes.
Nope.
And they had some holes in the wide receiver corps, and they didn't patch those holes. So last year they decided to spend the money, and they went to the NFC Championship game. This year they didn't spend the money. I don't think they're getting as far as they did last year, and even close.
And I'd like to add a little bit more to what Dan was saying. I think Dan brought up some great points about, you spend the money, you're going to get what you're after. And, people want to point the finger at Lovie Smith, at Jay Cutler, at this guy, at that guy. You know what? People want to point the finger at Jerry Angelo. I'm pointing the finger at the McCaskies.
They suck.
You cheap son of bitches are not doing what it takes to bring me a diehard Chicago. And if I could just add one more minute, give me a couple more seconds here. You go out and you get Roy Williams. Yes, I'm very glad that we have a receiver over 5'10", my height. But you need to go get, if you're gonna go get a guy that's 6'4",
5'6".
if you're gonna go get a guy that's 6'4", 6'5",
my cock is
go
5'10".
grab a Plaxico Burress.
That's what I said.
Go grab someone that 100% is gonna produce. And for the love of God, Olin Kreutz, sign the guy for $500,000. Come on.
All right, I've got like 4 points to build off of. Olin Kreutz sucked. I don't care what Tyler Kleeman has to say about Olin Kreutz. He was not a good center. He was for a few years. No. He's over the hill. He's not good. No. Lovie Smith, I think, is great. And the only reason I say that is because bad coaches lose football games, good coaches win. He keeps them in the game week in and week out. Julius Peppers is fantastic. I've never seen a guy impact so many plays in a football game. Every game, he is around the football. Every play, he's around the football. He's making the quarterback go the other direction. He's sacking the quarterback. He's forcing the running backs to find different holes. Julius Peppers is one of the best signings I've ever seen. I think the Bears are a good football team. They're not a great football team. They got all the breaks last year. They did well. They took advantage of the breaks. I think they still have a chance this year to do the same because bad football teams lose games. Good football teams win games. And if they're in position to win, they're going to win games this year.
So the one thing the Bears, who are...
Start over. 3, 2, 1, go.
The one thing the Bears didn't improve was their defense, which they build every year on. They made no fucking improvements this year at all whatsoever. So what then? The offense. We've got Matt Forte, right? Versatile back. You could compare him to a Marshall Faulk in the early years, but he can't run in between the tackles. All right? So the Bears, the defense are not going to hold up this whole season. We have no number one receiver. Cutler's getting his ass beat. We can't run in between the tackles. So eventually, I would say, if it hasn't happened already, by week 4 or 5, little screen and misdirections to Matt Forte will be shut down as well. And then what? We're going to continue to throw that back corner fade to fucking Devin Hester, who's not even a number 4 receiver on any other team in the NFL. Bears, done.
Now, I just want to say for the record, not only am I the Bears writer on the blog, I'm also a Bears fan. So don't discount anything I'm saying.
And a Cubs fan. What?
Cubs fan too. Cubs are awesome. But the Bears are my team. But if you think the Bears are going to the Super Bowl, if you think the Bears are going to the NFC Championship either again,
Probably right.
you've probably had too many coconut margaritas.
like
right there.
Like this
Tyler
guy.
Kleeman
This
is
guy.
drinking coconut margaritas.
Yeah.
Kill it.
My prediction for this week, Packers 22,
This week?
21, I'm sorry. Packers 21, Bears 19.
Just predictions. I think that unfortunately the Bears are going to lose this week against the Packers. It's just going to be too much to handle. The defending Super Bowl champions, a complete and balanced team. I will say this: the Bears do play the Packers very, very tough, so it will be a close ball game. Probably guessing 17-14 Packers, but I don't think the Bears are going to be able to pull it off this week.
I'm going to the game. I'm going with the Framba, who writes college football. Hopefully will be joining us in less than 1 hour. And as much as I want to say that the Bears are going to win, they're going to lose 34-10. Cutler is going to get a concussion. Dan?
I feel like these teams, it's one of those, quote-unquote, throw the records out when you're dealing with teams that have history like the Bears and the Packers. I don't know if you can throw the fact that the Packers won the Super Bowl last year out. I think they have the mental edge at this point. They beat the Bears to get in the playoffs. They beat the Bears in the playoffs. I think they kind of have the edge, and they're the more talented team. So there's no reason. The Bears are gonna lose. We'll say 31-20. Packers, and it's not going to be pretty, and there's not going to be too many good things coming from the Bears. But they're not going to get necessarily embarrassed either, unless that offensive line breaks down, which could happen. And then at that point, it's Jay Cutler might be dead by the end of the game.